Power Business, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. and Fridays, 6 to 7 p.m.
All right, it's 18:23 on Power Business. Move on now to a conversation with South Africa's sugar industry. Now, the industry organization, the South African Canegrowers Association, they've come out to say that they've really completed the disbursement of their transformation funding, really reaching a goal. They 1 billion rand in transformation funding over a 5-year period. And we asked the CEO, Dr. Thomas Funke, to come and speak to us here on what this means, but also what this funding was all intended for. Thomas, good evening to you. Thank you for chatting to us.
Very good evening.
Thomas, maybe you can talk to us about the funding, what it was intended for, and of course, then the rolling out of it.
Yeah, the funding started 5 years ago. It was part of our commitment to support black farmers in our industry. Most of our black farmers are small-scale farmers, so it was very important for us to ensure that they remain in business. And the 1 billion rand was dispersed not just in cash as a top-up cane price, but a number of other interventions were also put together, largely around training, and we bought some equipment and so on. So, yeah, we're very happy that we've made some differences to people's lives over the past 5 years, and we're very proud of that commitment.
I must also ask you, what the criteria was for this funding, also considering, Thomas, just all the headwinds that the sugar sector has faced over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I think the original idea with the funding was it came at the same time as our tariff application. And government was very open with us and said, how much, if we give you a higher import tariff, how much will you be giving back to black farmers in the industry? And I think that was really the idea behind the transformation funding, is that we ensure that this additional revenue that the industry earns flows back to our growers on the ground. So yeah, that I think was really where the funding came from, that idea.
Let's also talk about, how the funding has been used to support the objective of the Sugarcane Value Chain Masterplan. And if that plan is well underway, and now that there's also some money that's been allocated to some of its objectives.
That's correct, yeah. So this funding happened before the master plan. And within the master plan, there's also a top-up payment, we call it a premium price, paid to black farmers, especially small-scale farmers. And that price aims to put the sugarcane that they deliver to sugarcane mills, to sugar mills, on the same equivalent value of a local market price. So the idea there is to not expose them to the export market, because in the sugar industry, the export market is something you actually don't want to participate in. The price of export sugar is far lower than the price in the domestic market, and that's because big players play on the world market, such as Brazil and India and Thailand. So what you actually want to do is generate all that value locally and ensure that value flows back to the farmers. And that's what the master plan initiative is. It's to ensure that the black farmers, the small-scale farmers, receive the same price as what sugar sells for in the local market.
With that said, Thomas, what's the next phase here? Keen to find out about what now that we've reached this 1 billion rand goal.
Yeah, the first step is to do an impact assessment, and that's well underway, to try and understand, before and after, what impact has this fund had, and if we need to tweak it in any way, if we need to change the interventions in order to reach more people, or have more meaningful interventions. So that's, I think, the first step. And the second step is then to try and see how does one extend this, because this was a 5-year deal coming to an end at the end of March. But there's already a discussion taking place as to what do we do for the following season. So our season runs from 1st of April until end of March every year, over years. And we're going to try and extend that fund for another year until we come to, a new fund that we can commit to.
I must also ask you about, as we're heading into a budget season, as cane growers, as people in the sugar industry, Thomas, let's talk about the sugar tax and what we're anticipating, what we're hoping for as we move into the budget season.
Yeah. Look, government last year announced a moratorium on the sugar tax increase, and they said, in the light of the unrest that we had in KZN, as well as the flooding, they're willing to give us a bit of a grace period to try and see how we can diversify the industry. And as the sugar industry, we're working full out to try and come up with alternatives to only sugar and molasses, which are our main products now. And hopefully, if we get another year grace, which was promised to us last year, we'll be able to complete a lot of this work and, have a roadmap as to what we need to do in order to get to alternative products. So we're quite confident that Minister Godongwana won't increase the HPL, and we're really hoping for that, so that we have some more time to just get this diversification off the ground.
Fantastic. I'd like to thank you for speaking to us this evening, Thomas, and we'll certainly be in touch around or after the budget just to reflect on some of those takeouts. Thank you so much. Fantastic. That was the CEO of the SA Cane Growers Association, Dr. Thomas Funke, speaking to us on, that transformation fund. Very well dispersed, 1 billion rand over a 5-year period, and really benefiting the most vulnerable people in the sugar industry, which are those black sugarcane farmers there, supporting them through a lot of the tragedies. That funding would have been available during COVID, through Tonga Tulip going through its issues, et cetera, et cetera. And so it really is money that was also right on time for the industry. And I think one of those where the government, really put the money forward and the private sector went and rolled it out and showing that things can really work. It would be great to even speak to one of the beneficiaries in future of the funding to find out exactly what they did with the funding and how the funding may have helped them. But I think that's exactly what I guess we're all hoping for at this point, that money will leave government, it will land in the right hands, and from the right hands it will reach the people who are most vulnerable. And in this case, it was these sugar cane farmers. We'll be back in a jiffy really to unpack the issue of nuclear in South Africa with Abusa's Energy Director, Happy Kambule.